Okay guys, this video is going to be intense and it's all about 280 AI. We just finished our build and that means it's time to load some ammo. But before we do that, we're going to cover what 280 AI is, the cartridge, its parent case. We're going to talk about what you need to know to reload 280 AI. We're going to do a reloading demo end to end, share shooting results, and then talk about what's next. Hey guys, Gavin here from ultimatereloader.com. I'm going to have to say I absolutely love this build. This 280 AI was something that you all requested. In fact, I put up a community post and I said, hey, what kind of hunting rifles are you all interested in? And I was talking about our Ultimate Reloader custom rifles. And I kind of listed a few different cartridges, you know, your 7PRC and others. And what surprised me was the comment section, because a lot of you said, hey, I want to see a 280 AI build. So you're going to want to check out the video. We already published that one. It covers the 280 AI build and break-in process end to end. In this video, we're going to talk about the next chapter in this story, which is loading, some shooting, and some stuff that we learned in the process. So quick recap on this build. It uses the new Pristine long action from Pristine Actions. It's the Woox Super Leggera hunting stock that was introduced and announced at the SHOT Show this year, 2024, which is a really cool blend of kind of some traditional elements. It's got a lightweight composite construction with hardwood accents. It's a really cool stock, and I just absolutely love the way that it looks. We've got a carbon 6 7mm barrel blank. And this was going to be used for a 7PRC build, but when the 280 AI project came up, I thought I've got to use it for this. And what's cool about this is it's faster than the normal 280 AI twist rate of 1 in 9. This is a 1 in 8. So good stuff. Area 419 Hellfire muzzle brake. This is our default brake for pretty much any rifle hunting or otherwise. They work absolutely great. Very easy to time, very easy to remove, to clean the crown, and so on and so forth. This is our first time trying the Bixen Andy Dakota hunting trigger, which is absolutely awesome. For a hunting rifle, what I love about it is when I was shooting the rifle, I knew exactly when the rifle was going to go off. And no creep, no grit, just like 1 pound trigger pull weight and completely predictable. Absolutely love it. We've got the Hawkins Precision Hunter bottom metal and detachable box magazine. This is an absolutely great setup. 3 rounds capacity. We can have our magazine preloaded, pop it in the rifle, boom, we're on the deer, right? So we're both compliant and we're ready to go kind of at the same time, beautifully crafted as well. We've got the Element Aculite rings and the Element Nexus 4-25x50. You've seen this scope on the channel before. We absolutely love Element optics. Their toolless re-zeroing for windage and elevation is absolutely stellar. Really great build quality, great optical quality, and definitely a confidence-inspiring scope. So that's the rifle. So about 280 Ackley improved. PO Ackley was all about that 40-degree shoulder angle, and there's a bunch of different cartridges to choose from that Ackley developed based on other parent cases. I've built a 22-250 Ackley improved for a client, but I've never actually owned an Ackley before. This is the first time. So 280 Remington is the parent case for the 280 Ackley Improved, which is essentially a modified version of that. It's 280 Remington is essentially a 30-06 next down to 7mm, right? But also the other thing about 280 Remington is that shoulder is blown forward 50 thousandths of an inch. And that's so that you can't chamber a 270 Winchester in the 280 Remington chamber. They're both similar but not interoperable, right? 1 in 10 twist rate is called for 280 Remington. 280 AI takes that 280 Remington, blows the shoulder out to 40 degrees, and then also it specifies a 1 in 9 twist rate, which is kind of nice because you can use heavier bullets. It's going to do a better job stabilizing those. So here's the claim. 280 AI gives near magnum performance and doesn't need trimming the same, right? That 40-degree shoulder angle inherently flows the brass less forward each time you size. It's got great efficiency and usually increases case capacity. But most people aren't using the AI cartridges just for that increased case capacity. It's more like a side benefit. Okay, so performance comparison. Just looking, you go to Hodgdon's website, go to the Reloading Data Center, and pull up the data. What I did was, if the claim is near magnum performance, let's take a look at how close we can actually get. So I pulled up load data from Hodgdon's website for 175 grain bullets with H1000 at max charge, comparing 280 Ackley improved to 7 Rem Mag. And check this out. The data for 280 AI indicates a maximum load velocity of 2675, whereas for 7 Rem Mag, it's 2692. That's less than 20 feet per second difference. Amazing. Now, I'll give away a little bit of the conclusion of this video. We actually observed 2,784 feet per second average. That was for 5 shots with a 180 grain projectile, which is even heavier than what this load data would suggest, in our testing with very, very minimum pressure signs. And that was slightly over max charge. We're using Peterson brass here and worked our way up very carefully to that. So what we're seeing here is that we can actually eclipse and exceed 7 Rem Mag max load performance with the 280 AI, and that is impressive. Okay, so some quick notes about reloading the 280 AI. 280 AI is somewhat of a specialty cartridge, so you got to know where to go to for your load data. And the good news is Hodgdon has a very extensive library of reloading data in their Reloading Data Center online, which is free for the 280 AI. Typical bullet range is going to be bullet weight range between 120 grains and 175 grains. Some of the common powders that I saw in that reloading data included H1000, H4350, H4895, Retumbo, and Varda. So you can see just how broad the burn rate range is. So depending on what grain weight of bullet you pick, you're probably going to find a powder on your shelf. If you have a library of powders, that's going to work. I know we had multiple options, and we chose to go with H1000 for our loading, right? The normal process for this whole sequence of events would be you start with 280 Remington brass and you fireform it to 280 AI. Multiple ways to do that. Typically, the start of the shoulder is going to seat against that neck to shoulder junction in the chamber, and it's going to cram in just a little bit, and when you fireform it, it blows the shoulder out to 40 degrees, and it fireforms it to the exact dimensions of your rifle's specific chamber. Now, since we're using Peterson 280 AI brass, this is factory brass, and that means we're pretty much ready to go, although we did have one observation that I'll share later when we talk about loading. You're going to use standard large primers, and the other good news about 280 AI is it uses a 308 case rim, right? Same dimensions as 308 and 30-06 and 243, and we probably have 20 cartridges in-house that use the 308 case rim. So your shell holders and your shell plates are going to be easy to find. It's all going to be standard stuff. Okay, so when we went to reload for 280 AI, this was a little bit more involved and a little bit tricky based on some things that we had to do. So I wanted to share those with you. First off, the Forster ultramicrometer seeder. Forster actually has instructions on this. This is a common thing. The seating stem may not match the exact profile of the ogive for the bullets that you're loading, and you might need to do a little bit of honing. You can take like valve lapping compound and put it on the ogive of the bullet and spin it in a drill, something like that. Take the stem out. We needed to do that because we had some rings on the ogives of our bullets where we were seating them with quite a bit of force. And so what I did was I chucked it up in the lathe and I reprofiled a little bit with some very fine sandpaper and some polishing components that I had, and that completely resolved the issue that we had. I also used the Loctite method for establishing my cartridge overall length and base to ogive measurements when the bullet is at the lands, right? And when we loaded, we actually did about 20 thousandths jump. So if you check out our video, 3 ways to find the lands, there's multiple ways that you can do that, but I do recommend that when you reload for a cartridge, you establish what that base to ogive value is or the corresponding cartridge overall length if you have bullets that are very consistent at the tip area, right? Like the A-tips and even the ELDMs, very consistent. If you have a regular hollow point, sometimes there's a little bit too much variation for that to be a super accurate method. We did find that when we fireformed the brass, or fired it for the first time, I should say, the shoulder blew forward 7/1000ths of an inch. And when I chambered the rifle, it was fairly tight. It was on the tight side. You know, the go gauge would clear, but only just a little bit. So it wasn't a long chamber, and still we had 7 thou of blow forward, right? So I consider this a fireform cartridge for us to get true precision, right? When we did the reloading, we bumped the shoulder back 3/1000ths of an inch. So just kind of an optimization thing, something to know. Most people that are going for extreme precision are going to fire at least once and then reload so that they know that everything is going to be consistent and optimized for their chamber, right? The 1-in-8 twist, I looked, will stabilize these Hornady 190 grain 7mm A-tip bullets, which is really awesome. And that's why I like the fact that we chose that fast twist for our barrel. Okay, so for gear, we've got the Forster coax. What I love about this press, made in USA, cast iron construction, automatic alignment between the floating die holder and the floating shell holder so that you know everything's going to be concentric. And then also the onboard priming system. I don't always use this priming system, but with these adjustable fingers on the top in place of a shell holder and easy interchange between large and small, it's great for smaller quantities, and then also when you don't have a shell holder for another type of priming setup, which actually is something that we encounter from time to time here at Ultimate Reloader. Okay, for dies, we've got the Forster Ultramicrometer Cedar for 280 AI. This has got the sliding collar. Really, really good results with this die. We've also got a standard 280 AI full-length sizer from Forster. I'm using an APW 7mm expander to control neck tension, and then to check the internal neck dimensions, we've got this gauge kit, the neck tension gauge kit from Forster, which has a variety of different calibers. This is the 284 here. So it's got multiple mandrels here of different diameters that allow you to gauge very precisely where your neck dimensions are at, and then you can calculate your neck tension, your interference fit, which is awesome. The datum dial we use to measure shoulder bump. We'll talk about that more when we actually do the reloading. We're also using an RCBS Chargemaster link and a Primer Rights Competition primer cedar. Okay, so I've got a case here that has just been fired. You can see the primer is still in the case. We're going to grab the full-length sizer. Love about the coax that we can just quickly insert and remove dies. It's awesome. We can hear that primer fall out there. All right, I like to wipe these down, get the case lube off of there. I'm going to go ahead and grab the mandrel and mandrel the neck. This is totally optional. And then we'll take the neck tension gauge. And so we've got 280, 281, 282, and 283. We'll see where we land with this. Right at 282. And so that'll give us 2 thou interference fit. That seems good to me. Then we'll go ahead and prime the case. Make sure we're below flush. All good there. Now let's get some powder going. I'm going to type in 60 and go. $60 on the nose. We'll go ahead and charge that case. Okay, so time to seat a bullet. I'm going to put the Ultramicrometer Cedar in place. We're going to grab one of our Burger 180s. It sounds like the next powder charge is ready, which is good. Confirm our powder charge. Tip the bullet up into that sliding collar, and there we go. We've got a 280 AI round ready to shoot. So when it comes to breaking in the rifle, getting it sighted in and getting some good results, I typically start with something that's worked well for me in the past. And this time that was Hornady's 180 grain ELDM bullet. It's actually over what Hodgson's data goes up to. It goes up to 175. So, we're in that same vicinity here. So I was a little bit conservative. I started a bit down from max charge. So I picked H1000. It's a powder that other folks online have had good success with, and it was also well represented in Hodgson's data. We started at 57, then went up to 58, and then 59, which was the max charge. And because I wasn't getting any pressure signs, don't do this at home, I went a little bit above to 60 grains. And while that 60 grain charge weight had a really good SD and ES, 5.5 SD and 13.2 ES, and 2784.2 feet per second average for 5 shots. Wow, that's cooking. That's over 7 Rem mag. Healthily over some 7 Rem mag Hodgson load data. The grouping just was not that good. We're talking about 1.25 inches or so. I was totally not impressed, and I was slightly concerned that maybe there was something wrong with the rifle build. But then we moved over to Berger's 180 grain hybrid, which, by the way, shot phenomenally in the 7 PRCW that we built here on the channel. Well, when we tried that 60 grain charge weight with the Berger 180, the group went down to 0.520 inches for 5 shots at 100 yards, and that is pretty much right on the money at 1 MOA, since 1 MOA is 1.047 inches at 100 yards. So I guess you could even say I think it's slightly sub half MOA. Technically, let's call it half MOA, right? Really happy with how that group turned out. Nice round group. Really just goes to show how big an impact the bullet itself can have on your group size. We've seen this again and again and again here on the channel. We saw it with the 224 Valkyrie project. Guy Miner and I have both recently done some 223 Remington bolt action stuff that showed the same exact thing. The bullet can make all the difference. Why did my 7PRC prefer the 180 ELDM, but this particular 280 AI did not? I have absolutely no idea. It's even the same twist rate, 1 in 8. So kind of some mysteries, but really encouraging to see that we have a load that we can refine on. While the group size was good, the SD was 20.1 and the ES was 58. Great for close range hunting. This would be an absolute just knockout load for that. But I think with a little bit of charge weight variation and a little bit of experimentation and tuning, probably be able to see that SD go down a little bit. We did also try Hornady's 190 grain A-tip. It recommends, Hornady does 1 in 8 twist, which we have, and they didn't shoot very well. They shot about like the 180 ELDMs. So that is a mystery for another day. So wrapping it all up, this was a really tremendously fun project. 280 AI, in our experiences, matches and can even exceed factory max load data for the 7 Rem mag. Color me impressed. 1 in 8 twist seems to work great, especially with these Berger 180 grain hybrid bullets. It seems to me that 280 AI would be a great option for rebarreling a 30-06 or other similar cartridge. With just a barrel change, you'd be, especially if you went with 1 in 8, you'd have all the versatility that we had with heavier, longer bullets. And Magnum performance. Another thing that I'll have to say about this rifle, it shoots like a pussycat. The recoil was not nearly what I thought it would be. The Hellfire brake works great. We already know that from our recoil rig testing, but I was just very, very pleasantly surprised. The buttstock on the Superleggera also has kind of an open area with some honeycomb type features in it, and that I think also contributed to the very light perceived recoil for this particular rifle with the 280 AI cartridge. I'll have to say, I now understand why there's so much hype with the 280 AI. Magnum performance in a non-Magnum, non-belted cartridge. Seems like a winner to me, and definitely makes me want to do more reloading and testing in the future. Okay, so in conclusion, what I'd love to know from you is, what do you think of this rifle? What do you think of our loads and our performance results? Do you have experience with 280 AI? Do you have a rifle? Have you been hand loading for it? Tell us about your rifle. Tell us about your loads, and tell us what you've been shooting with it. I would absolutely love to know more on this in the months and years to come. Thank you for watching. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. If you're interested in custom rifles like what we build here on the channel or gunsmithing services, you're going to want to go to rifles.ultimatereloader.com and get on the wait list. If you want to learn lucrative gunsmithing like what I show here on the channel, including building custom rifles and Cerakote plus a whole bunch more, you're going to want to check out the Colorado School of Trades, schooloftrades.edu. Thanks again for watching.